We are kings and queens of this earth. We are melanated people. We are excellent. And also, I think that the pandemic was necessary for me because I've never stopped. I was a workaholic. I will work a good old 7 days a week. We are blessed by our talents, and we have more than one. And therefore, you have several streams of income, not just one. So it's how do I use all my gifts to flow, not knowing that you can't live on one stream of income. You can't. You have to have several streams of income and think about legacy. Like, not only think about, okay, how can I, like for right now, like, okay, how can I pay my bill for da-da-da-da-da? It's just like, no, how can I pay my how can I make sure my children are great? How can I make sure the people that come after me are great without struggle, you know?
What's going on, beautiful people? Xavier Snow from Snow's Globe here, live from Mexico. I know it's been a little while since I vlogged. I've been, I guess you could say, on vacation, just kind of chilling, meeting people, getting my business together, things like that. One of the people that I met is known as the mayor of Playa del Carmen. I've heard people say she is the go-to person that you need to reach out to as soon as you come here, especially if you're Black and you're looking for a community people that are like-minded to network with. So I'm extremely excited today to be joined with a beautiful new friend by the name of Cece. She has an amazing history and she'll be here any moment. That's why I keep looking this way. But yeah, I'm excited for her to share her story, as well as hopefully inspire people who may be on the edge, whether it's creating a business or leaving the country. Hopefully this conversation will engage you and fuel you to step outside your comfort zone and to do something new. So please stay tuned, take notes, because this will be a very informative yet entertaining conversation.
So I am the CEO and founder of High Vibez Global. You can check me out at www.highvibezglobal.com. You can also check me on IG at High Vibez Playa and on Facebook at High Vibez. Anytime you come to Playa Del Carmen, you could contact me through any of the social medias that I gave you, or my website. Subscribe and, you know, be a high vibes with us out here in Playa Del Carmen. High Vibez Playa, we create different experiences and bring cultures together. So we have different experience as far as parties, events, live shows, sip and paints, like all different types, fashion shows. We also have amazing DJs, and we are the hip hop, Afrobeat, piano. We play R&B, we play soul, we play all the music that really gets to your rhythm, the beat, and also reggaeton. So we're bridging the gap. We're bridging the gap and creating experiences in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. She did a lot of salsa classes at that venue, and she knows the owner. And she came to me and was like, look, the owner needs help. Like, he has a venue, and after pandemic, it just went down. And he really, like, he wants, she was like, I think we should have parties here. And I said, okay, let me check the venue out and everything. And literally it's right down my house. I didn't even know, right down my house. So I checked it out and I said, automatically, like when I have a vision and I just see it, on a higher scale, I'm like, bam, I'm in. I'm in. Soon as I looked at it and saw it, I'm like, this is it. So I brought one of my friends so she can look at it as well. She was just like, oh my gosh, you know what we could do? And I'm just like, yo, this is the spot. And I want a spot that still gives the local, kind of the local feel, but upscale to where it's still giving us, like still, you know, more classy, more, you know, like just still a homey vibe, because that's what High Vibez bring. High Vibez pretty much bring like the home to you, or you're coming and you're like, oh, I'm in Mexico and I feel like I'm at home, and there's Mexicans, you know, you got Afro-Mexicans, you got Mexicans still dancing with me. Like, it's just bringing out culture, you know? And I think that's the biggest thing, especially for us, is like bringing out the culture, bringing out our culture, because they're watching our culture and we're watching their culture, and bringing these cultures together and just recognizing how we are similar. We could dance the same, we move our bodies, you know what I'm saying? Like just the whole aspect. We love the same. We are the same people, you know? Like our ancestors and their ancestors. And remember, this is still a part of America. And like for me, like my ancestors are native, you know? So here, when I see the natives here, it resembles my ancestors, you know? So it's just like deep, spiritual, healing, everything. Yeah, and just bringing that into a party. And that's why I love like different music, like piano, Afro beats and stuff, because that really like speaks to the ancestors as well, you know, and also them, because drumming is that beat that we all have in common. They do drumming ceremonies, you know, and we also do drumming ceremonies. We move to the drum, like it's just like like soon as we hear it, we're like, hold up, what is this? Hold this. And that right there, that is us coming together and just like, I don't know, it's just coming together and like unified as one people, and that's the main thing. Like my whole thing is always about love and oneness, you know, and culture is about oneness, which we struggle with in America. So a lot of people, when they come out here, it could be kind of tough for them. It's because like they won't work all together, you know, and we work separately, you know. So it's about family, relationships, and coming together as one. If you're separate, doing your own thing, they don't like that, you know. But when you engage them, and when you engage everybody, and you're helping them as much as this is their land, we need permission from this land, you know. So it's just like, when everybody comes together, it's just like, okay, you're me, I'm you. Come on, let's fellowship. Even if we don't know the same language, we still got one common thing. And what is that? It's love. That's a language, you know? And it's out of actions, our actions. So people, I know, always ask me, how do you do this? How do you build relationships and you don't even speak Spanish? I said, because I know my mission and I know the main language that we all understand. And that's how we come together. And I have that integrity, and doing it under integrity, you know? So, and not doing it under, oh, let me start a business and take some money. I know I can, because you would never succeed like that, you know? It's about helping. I want to make him rich. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make him rich. I know once I do that, my blessings are going to come. and they're gonna overflow because that's what I'm promised already. So I know the promises for my life. So it's now helping someone else to get the same promise, So that's pretty much, and that's a high vibes, right? Because during pandemic, you're always about what's my next steps, especially like from me, I'm from the production world, just like you. Production supervisor for a lot of companies, so when pandemic hit and they're like, okay, we're cutting all the shows from the MGM, we cutting all the shows from like all your sources, and even like I do corporate as well, and it's just like, dang, what I'm gonna do next? And also, I think that the pandemic was necessary for me because I've never stopped. I was a workaholic. I will work a good old 7 days a week, every day. If there's a show, because you got shows, okay, you got a conference in the morning, you got this, you get off, you hop to another show, then you got your night shows, and it just goes on and on. And when you're working with 5-6 companies, it's just like, because you're working for yourself. So when you're constantly working for other companies, it's like, okay, hopping, it doesn't end. So when it finally stopped, I was like, two things. Am I gonna go crazy? I've never even sat down to really watch TV. I don't even watch TV, And so it was a lot of time for me to look at myself and to do some self-reflection. I think pandemic for me was more on self-reflection, setting boundaries, knowing me, respecting me, and making me healthy. All of those things were just, and even spiritually, in one, And I was just looking for a place that I can just find peace in, And I remember, I would say 8-9 years ago, when I moved back to DC from Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta, and I told myself, I said, the next place I'm going to move is going to be the Caribbean, somewhere in the Caribbean or by the water. And forgot, you say something, forget about it. 6 years later, my homegirl, Janelle, she's just like, see, you need to come here. And this is during pandemic. She said, I just moved out here. Her family, my homeboy, everybody, they just moved out to Playa, and it was like, you need to come out here and visit. And she's the one that told me, she was like, you could bring your events out, you could do events out here, you could do this. She's just giving these ideas, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay. But I'm just like, in Mexico, hold on, let me go out there and see. And literally, it wasn't long to where I came out here during 2020. And as soon as I came out here, I said, this is home. I said, this is home. I said, this is home. And one, I felt like I was at home. It was a lot of new families, Black families, that were moving here from the States. And a lot of the brothers would just go to the basketball court and they would play basketball. And they'll have the music up and stuff like that. And that's really when I was just like, oh, I could do this. Okay. And in a place where it's just like no negative vibes, but it's just like working out of freedom. And then we would have house gatherings at my homeboy's house and my homegirl's house. We would have different house gatherings, just bringing us together and ordering rockas, and it was just like, yo, we found freedom, you know, like in the midst of chaos, we found freedom. And that's how I felt. And I needed that. I needed this time. I needed this alone time. Even when people like back at home, they didn't understand. They're like, oh my gosh. I mean, coming from what I made back then quitting all of that, and then just starting from scratch out here. And once I made that decision that this is where I needed to be, I'm like, how am I gonna network out here, right? And when I came out here to move, I met DJ Bradley, at the airport, because they got us with our equipment, and we're like, I had some lighting equipment because I was working an event for Mike, who used to have events here. And he gave me the blessing, like, come on, like, do your thing, do you, you know? And so, came out here, met up with Bradley at the airport. We talked, and we was like, yo, we're working the same, okay, we going to the same event. And then from that, we clicked, and we just started, actually, he was just like, look, I'm trying to get myself out there. So I'm like, okay, let's go. So we started out at Prana, and trying to like get in the Black community, to come to Prana and Mamba, which is also it's Black owned as well. It's Black owned and Mexican. And so we started there, and then afterwards, people needed a place to go, okay? So that place ended up to be my house on the rooftop. But it was still during COVID time, and so many people were coming up, and I didn't know these people. I didn't know. It was like a whole party, and people would stay there till like 6 in the morning. I set up my lights. Bradley still DJ'd, and literally we party until one time, another guy, Jabari, he came to me, and Bradley was like, they were like, what we gonna do? Like, I said, one, we can't be on my rooftop and do this. We're gonna have to find the actual location, right? And they were like, all right, we're in, let's go. But America opened back up, so shows start coming back, you know, to MGM, and so I was getting calls and stuff like that. So I ended up coming back to DC, and I'm like, once I worked those shows, I'm like, okay, this is the last. So, so I said, these were the last of my. I just felt it. Like, I felt it. My last show was Erykah Badu, okay? And it's crazy. You know why it was so crazy? Because Erykah was the very first show that I've worked in high school. Yes. I worked because I did shows at the Crampton, and I did Howard's, what is it called? I used to do their homecomings. I used to do their homecomings when I was in high school, because my arts teachers worked outside. Yeah. So Erykah was the very first show that I worked, and she was the very last show that I worked before getting on that plane. Literally, we were there all night, and then I had a flight and to be at the airport by 4 in the morning. Yeah. So, yes. So it was just like a whoa, like, okay. This is full circle. So, and I've been in the industry for 20 years. So it's just like, okay, now it's really time to elevate in what I'm doing. So oddly, which is from DC, which is from Baltimore, DC, and which he lives here. He actually heard me and my brothers talking about Playa, which how he came to visit Playa, and then he ended up moving the same time I moved. He is the one that got my very first spot, the rooftop, Isla Roof, because he stayed in our hostel. And he was like, I think you could do something to this. He said, it's real local, but with you, I think you could do something. It's a vibe here. I said, okay. So we were like, we need a name. What are we gonna call ourselves? And I said, you know what? I already have High Vibez, a company of High Vibez. And I have banners, High Vibez banners. I have silent headphones with my custom name, High Vibez. I said we can do all types of different parties, silent parties, whatever we want to do. And they were like, let's go. We met the girl that does my face paintings. We met her that day, and till this day, she is still doing my face paintings. She's still selling different items and stuff like that at my parties, you know? So I think you saw her on Sunday, right? So yeah, she's been with me the whole time as well. And I love consistency. So I keep the people that's been with me from the very beginning, they're still with me now, you know? They still with me now. So that's pretty much how we started, and we started doing, and that's how everybody knew us as the After Hours. We were the After Hours party. And then we started doing some Sunday day parties. So that was our thing, 12 midnight to 4 a.m. And we ended up making Tuesday nights more about industry nights, which we catered to all the locals that got off of work. And then they came. So that's how High Vibez started, with everybody together, you know? And realizing, yeah, we're different, but we gonna vibe together. And who are you? Like, you know, who are you and what do you do? Because when you get to meet certain people out here, you don't know, people on vacation, people, expats, so many people have different businesses. Even the locals that come. I have owners that come to my events, you know, from Zenzi Bar to, you know, different place that comes, Rocka's owners that just come to support because they know, you know, they know me. So it's just like network, and also bring your people to the different establishments that support you, you know? So, because I'm very, very big on support, you know? So that's pretty much the main, like, for me. Yeah.
So, part of my company, we focus on financial literacy, money mindset, things like that. For somebody who may be struggling financially, what are some tips that you can give them, especially as it relates to mindset and, you know, starting to build wealth in that direction?
For me, a part in building wealth is using the gifts that God created, okay? So even coming out here, you know, I made great money back in the States, you know, but even coming back here is, what are your gifts? What are the gifts that God created you, that God gave you, you know, and your talents? We are blessed by our talents, and we have more than one. And therefore, you have several streams of income, not just one. So it's how do I use all my gifts to flow, you know? Because then it'll be a natural flow, and you're doing it out of love, and you're doing it out of excellence. You're not just working to work, not a 9 to 5 and like, well, I have to slave, I have to do this. No, use the gifts that God created you with gifts on this earth. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has a talent. If your talent is just talking, you can make a lot of money from talking. If God gave you talent with your hands, do something with your hands, hair or anything, you know. And we live in a society right now where everything is pretty much free online. YouTube, we get a lot of free information, but it's all on our motivation and how we use it, you know? And you cannot, knowing that you can't live on one stream of income. You can't. You have to have several streams of income and think about legacy. Like, not only think about, okay, how can I, like for right now, like, okay, how can I pay my bill for da-da-da-da-da? It's just like, no, how can I make sure my children are great? How can I make sure the people that come after me are great without struggle, you know? So they can live a king and queen mindset, you know? And they would still have that potential of teaching our kids business, teaching our kids, because my parents, literally, I was the candy girl at school. My mom, like, I would ask my mom for candy to the store, and she's like, let me just buy you a box of candy and you sell that to make your own, you know? So how, and then how do you put away, have something for yourself, something to save, something, you know, I come from the church, so a percentage that, you know, gives to God, you know? So it's just like, okay, how can I work for myself? Because I know I can't work. I am my own boss, you know? But I do work together as a team, you know? But it's just like, how can I have several streams of income to keep it flowing? Because eventually I just want to be sleeping and be like, wake up, okay, here we go, I can go here, let's go. You should not really be thinking about money. Money should not be a thought in your head. Especially for me, I know who I am. I am a child of God. And for me, I say, God, I'm your child, so I should be blessed automatically, you know? And for me, doing your work, your mission, by showing my love to people, showing the love, your love is actually, God is love, you know? So showing the light to people, that's work, you know? That's natural, just, you know, work on earth. So I'm automatically blessed. So it's never walking in fear, never walking in doubt, never walking in worry, never thinking about, oh, how am I gonna make it? Because I already know who my creator is, you know, and just walking through that and walking through my mission, and everything's gonna come to pass. Especially when you're intentional about your manifestations, you know? So you gotta be intentional about your manifestations. What do you want to happen? Write them down, write the vision, you know? Write them down. Make a board, a vision board. Create what you want for yourself. Dream about it. What do you want for yourself? And these are just principles of life, you know, that everybody, a lot of people with a lot of money, they command things to happen. Even if you don't like them, they still commanding things to happen, and it happens. And you're trying to wonder why. How are they here? It's because they know they literally commanded that thing to happen, and it happened. So that's the same thing. We all can use that. We all can do that. That's a superpower that we all have, but you gotta know your power. And the power comes in the tongue, and you gotta know the power that comes out your mouth. And it's easy to pour out the negative than the positive. It's easy to pour out doubt and your fears than saying, oh, I can do that. Even when I might not know, but I'm gonna figure it out. I know how to do it, you know? So it's just like watching your words, because your words are very powerful. But everything aligns, and you gotta use everything as a lifestyle as well. Everything aligns and is a lifestyle. So making your streams of income, making everything that you are into your life, everyday lifestyle. Black excellence means to me is making my ancestors proud. You know, like, really making my ancestors proud and changing the narrative of, oh, we all came from slavery, all, like all of the depression, like all the stuff that's in the highlight, saying no, we are kings and queens of this earth. We are melanated people. We are excellent. We are the creators of this earth. We are the creators. Like, we are the people that create everything that happens around us, though it gets taken from us, but knowing our power, knowing our true power as a man, knowing your true power as a Black man, knowing your true power and knowing your worth as a woman, knowing your worth and operating in that, and teaching your kids their worth, and I think that is Black excellence. That is black excellence.